This is TWiT. It's a triumph of marketing, though, isn't it, Stephen? I mean, I think this. Look how poorly everything else is done in this category. Nobody needs one. It's a luxury item, and yet the triumph of Apple's marketing is it doesn't matter. They're going to sell out no matter what.
Yeah, if you look feature for feature, what this watch can do versus Android Wear, I mean, the features are very similar. You can talk into it, you get notifications, it buzzes you. It looks a lot better than the Android watches, and it has that status symbol. It's more expensive, you know, it feels premium. But as far as feature for feature, what it can do, there's not that use case. Like Android Wear hasn't proven the use case, and this, well, it's too early to judge, but, you know, this hasn't proven it either. Maybe once, you know, because it's Apple and it's a triumph of marketing, like you said, people will find that use case. But right now, you know, even Apple's been kind of mushy on that messaging. You know, why do you need this thing? You know, there's that big thing in Wired that I know Ben wasn't a big fan of that piece, but you know, that said it's okay. It helps you not look at your phone so much, and that kind of came from Apple. It was still not clear if that's Apple's real mission with this thing, or is it just a status symbol of, like you said, marketing.
Wait, so let me understand this. So on one hand, it's Apple's marketing. On the other hand, Apple is bad at articulating what it's good for.
No, I'm not saying they're bad at articulating what it's good for.
No, this is the tiredest trope when it comes to Apple ever, that Apple sells stuff because of good marketing when it matches feature for feature. I mean, it's like saying, why can you sell a MacBook that's more expensive, like the one sitting in front of Jason? What is it, $1,300 computer that's underpowered and low featured and only has one port? Like, at some point, like, when do we put this argument to bed that Apple sells stuff because of marketing and actually consider that maybe there's other factors going on? I mean, for the
maybe
MacBook,
not marketing might not be the right word. Let's say wow factor. Then the Apple allure, marketing. Fine. Let's put that aside. The allure, is that a fair statement then?
I think I mean, Apple has built up a very loyal customer base. No question. I don't think anyone would deny that. And the reason why they built that up, I would argue, is they've delivered a superior user experience for their products relative to the competition. The problem with the user experience is it's something that doesn't go on a feature sheet. It's not something you can check off and compare next to each other. I mean, you started out, when I jumped on, you talked about the Samsung Edge. I mean, why is Samsung losing the high end to Apple? It's not because of features. And given that, Apple has people trust Apple. Like they trust that if they buy an Apple product, they're going to be satisfied with it. And now Apple can trade in on that trust. People will buy the watch regardless of what, because
that's a good point. This is the culmination of reputation, years of reputation.
It's like saying that there's people are going to go see a Disney movie. It's like, that's not, first off, that's earned. Disney earns that label. And second, if they spend too much time not delivering what the promise is, then people will stop going. But there is that truth that you can have a brand that has that attachment to it. And I think that's what we see with Apple is part of this is, yes, people are buying it because it's an Apple product, but Apple has earned a lot of that brand loyalty because of the products that they've released up to now.
They're buying it on faith.
I think there is a certain degree. I hate the faith-based metaphors for Apple, but I think in this case you got it right, which is a product in a new category. There is trust that I think a lot of people are putting in Apple that this will be a great product, even though they may not know quite what they're going to do with it because it's from Apple and they have some trust there, and that trust could easily be harmed if it doesn't live up to the hype. That's true.
Apple probably also gets a pass from journalists who are unwilling to be too strongly critical of it because you don't want to look like an idiot when the thing sells so well.
That's not getting a pass, though. That's being totally rational. I mean, the reality is that, I mean, I think I was on before the iPhone, Leo, and I think you were being super skeptical of the sales, or at least one of your guests
I'm the idiot who keeps saying that, yeah.
Right. I mean, and fortunately, most of the time you don't have people like me coming on reminding you of it.
Yeah. No, I don't mind because I honestly don't think that the iPhone is a better device than, for instance, the Galaxy S6 Edge knocks the iPhone all over the place in so many ways. But that doesn't have anything to do with why people buy the iPhone, apparently. And the same thing with a watch. It has
or
nothing
maybe it's like what you value in a phone is different than what
No,
a
I think-
lot of consumers value.
I think anybody with an objective mind would say Android is a far superior choice.
I'm not even getting into this right now.
That's good objectivity. I would like to see your dictionary later, Leo.
That's objective. If you look at the two and if you came from Mars and you didn't know any of the history and you looked at it, you say, well, I don't understand why people are buying iPhones. Why would you buy an iPhone? That thing is constipated as hell. It's not, you got a grid of icons. It's hairy. It's horrible.
I like the problem with this perspective, Leo, is the implication of that is that there's a lot of people who are dumb in the world. And
I'm not
the
saying
reality
dumb.
No, you are, though, because you're saying obviously this is better. Why do these tens of millions, hundreds of millions of idiots keep buying an inferior product that costs more? Like,
Well, I'm not saying that because that's an insulting
Well,
thing to say.
Well, yeah, you're not saying
I'm
it
saying
because it's
people.
not-
You're much more polite
They're
about
not
it.
stupid. They're
saying-
for whatever reason they're buying into. Look at people bought Windows for years, even though it was a horrible operating system. But that's what you bought. That's what everybody bought. You buy a PC, you're going to buy Windows. You buy
it
a
was
phone, you're
totally
going to buy an
logical.
iPhone. It's just the default. It's not that they're dumb. It's they
No,
don't have time to figure out which is better. They go with the default.
No offense to Jason, but you were dumb to buy a Mac in the 90s. Like
Maybe in the
reality
90s there was some bad. No, I agree. OS 9 and so forth.
Those were dark
Or
times.
even,
dark
even the
times.
aughts. I mean, like the reality is until the internet came along and most of our applications moved to the internet, there was just lots of stuff you literally could not do on a Mac, and user experience aside, and that was changed with the internet, which removed that kind of like gate. Like there's two different things when it comes to features. Some stuff is like it's a reason to buy, and then there's stuff that's a reason not to buy. And the reason not to buy, if you have it there, it's devastating. Like Windows Phone, for example, like not having a competitive set of apps, and even if the apps you do have, they're all inferior. That's a reason to not buy. It doesn't matter how good the user experience is, or how delightful it is to use, or even if you use all Microsoft services, you're not going to even consider it because there's a gate there. And that was the same thing when it came to the Mac. And to say that people were buying Windows because they were sheep, I think that's insulting to people. The reality is most people aren't tech people. They're not sitting around weighing this stuff. They have stuff they want to get done, and people, and in my experience anecdotally, but normal people who aren't technical at all, consistently find it's easier to go about their day and it's less frustrating, and they can do what they want to do more easily and consistently on an iPhone. And
No,
that's how
I agree with you in the
post.
90s. That isn't true, though, after, say, 2005, 2004. I mean, but there's a lot of momentum, and people continue to buy Windows, and it's still a 95% operating system. So that's my point. No, you're right. In the 90s, there was no question. I'm not talking about the 90s.
Fair enough, but well, I mean, you're the one that brought up the analogy.
You're the one who said it's the 90s. I'm saying, let's say 2000, let's say 10 years ago, 2005, that Windows sold out of momentum more than anything else. Windows Vista or Windows XP sold out of momentum compared to a Mac more than anything else.
Well, I mean, 50% of the market. Sorry, I feel like I'm being rough and Leo, but 50% of the market.
No. That's fine.
Is the enterprise market, which again, there remains very good reasons to buy Windows.
I agree. In enterprise, absolutely. I agree 100%. I'm not talking about enterprise. I'm talking about home
in the
users.
consumer market in the U.S., Apple is up to, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's not far from 50%.
It's getting there.
Like they are crushing.
Yeah, the momentum doesn't last forever.
Consumer space.
We live in a world with friction. We're not in space.
But the problem again with analogy is the momentum is in favor of the iPhone. So I mean, apparently more people are getting dumb over time.
Does that mean it's better? Does that? Well, I mean, it's a silly argument. You like what you like, but I think just because something sells well doesn't make it better.
No, I think that's true. But again, I think objectively you could see that there are, for different people, different operating systems and platforms could be of value to them. And I don't think an alien that came down from outer space would necessarily look at the Android ecosystem and say that is clearly better. I think that it would depend on what that alien's personal preferences were and how they wanted to use their phone. Because I look at Android. Also, we got to say the difference between a platform and a product, where the iPhone
Let's
has been
use the
such
Galaxy
a
S6.
well, I think
that's a good example.
I think you could argue that the Galaxy
best of
S6 is
Android.
one of the few, and in fact, as Ben mentioned, Samsung changing its approach and
agree.
pulling lots of features out of the Galaxy in order to create a product that, by all accounts, is way closer to what Apple has been doing with hardware, and that people really like it. But a lot of these products aren't there. A lot of the Android experiences aren't that good. And so, it's not just the operating system platform, it's also the hardware, and Apple has excelled at that for quite a while now. And only now are we seeing some Android phones that can match it.